Hello young friends, I hope you are doing well. You are watching Study with Sudhir and my name is TS Sudhir. As the thumbnail would have told you, this is a 28-day plan, a 4-week plan in order to get your marks in the highest range, preferably in 90 plus for the pending examinations that are going to be held in the month of July, specifically for ICSE students, but also CBSE students or students appearing for any exam can actually emulate this with a bit of tweaking, right? You have seen our 30-day plan in the past before your exams were to be held in the month of February, March. You have seen a week plan and all of them, and I can tell you with a lot of confidence, happiness and pride that many students actually implemented it in letter and spirit, and that really helped. So I'm very happy about that. But before I start on why these pending examinations are so important for students of ICSE class 10, right? If you did the examination, the paper of history civics very well, then the geography paper is your chance to make it a perfect 100 or at least in the high 90s, right? If you did your physics and chemistry papers very well, if you do the same with biology, which is your last paper, you can ensure that your science marks really are in the top category, in the top bracket, right? Alternately, in case if your physics or chemistry paper did not go as per your expectations, or you made some silly errors in history and civics, this is your chance to make amends, right? Similarly, both Hindi and computer applications, the optional subject, are high scoring papers. Hindi, of course, you have a portion of grammar, and if you can really crack the nibandh and the questions very well, you can score again in the high 90s. Many people believe that Hindi you cannot score high. No, I would disagree. You can actually score very high marks in Hindi as well. Economics, physical education, the entire group 3 elective papers, again you can score high marks. So these 4 papers, why they are so significant is because they really can take your percentage to another level. So it's imperative, it is important that you prepare very well for these examinations, right? So as to use a cricketing parlance, these papers can be your Hardik Pandya or my favorite Mahendra Singh Dhoni, right? Great finishers. Many of you have been saying in the comment section that array, we have forgotten everything, we don't remember anything. It has been 2 months plus since we kind of stopped preparing for the ICSE board papers. Now, at least here you should feel happy that the council has given you enough time. They did not give you a week, 8 days notice as was originally planned. As they said in their May 1st press release, they have given you close to 40 days to prepare, right? And 40 days is a lot of time, right? I believe basically in a lot of positive energy. I believe in a lot of self-confidence, in a lot of dignity, right? Do not allow negative energy to surround you. If you are surrounded by people who keep telling you कि नहीं हो सकता है, अरे 40 इतना दिन हो गया है, you cannot do well in this pending examination, momentum lose हो गया है, you have lost the momentum, that interest is not there. If you are going to keep surrounding yourself with this negative energy, you will never be able to do well. You need to think positive and you need to surround yourself with the positive people, be it your family members, including parents, close friends. You need to always ensure that you keep getting these very positive vibrations around you. That's very important in life. Very important in life. In fact, as I'm saying, I'm getting goosebumps. It's very important to feel positive, to be self-confident, and also to be extremely dignified in your approach. That's very, very important. Because if you keep saying, if this had happened, I would have done well. If these exams had happened in March, I would have done well. Only someone who is not confident of himself will blame others. So don't be insecure in life. You know where you are. You know, what your plus points are, what your minus points are. All of us have. I have my plus points. I know I'm good at certain things. I know I'm not so good at certain things, right? So I will always try to play to my strengths so that I can benefit society much more, because I can give them much more when I'm actually focusing on my plus points. So you also need to focus on your plus points, and if there are any minus points, try to repair them so that you can convert the minus into a plus, right? So now let's come to the operative part. Okay, But what I said just now, till now, is very important for life in general. Always remember this. Because I don't see here myself here just as a teacher who is teaching XYZ subject. I see myself as a mentor for young 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old students who are young citizens of our country, who will actually frame the future of our country. Okay, so you have, each one of you has a responsibility and you need to feel the responsibility. Okay. Now, I will divide India into two different zones, mainly because of the way the summer vacations are. Now, for instance, I was speaking to a friend of mine who was in fact my schoolmate. She told me that her son now has exam break. He's in class 9 from 16th of May till the 29th of June, right? So, the expectation is that from the 1st of July, the regular sessions will start, and which may again be online classes, right? But in the south of the Vindhyas, in South India, the online classes are expected to start anytime in the month of June. Kerala will start, Hyderabad schools are going to start, some of them are going to start from the 1st of June. So the session will start from the month of June, basically because the monsoon hits in South India by in the month of June, 1 week, 2 weeks, and as the monsoon progresses from the Kerala coast. Now, before I start, I want to say this one thing. There is no one size fits all. You will have to tweak this particular timetable depending on what works for you. There is no thing, what will work for Bablu will also work for Bubbly. It will not work that way. Okay. Now, if you have taken admission to a coaching center where the bridge courses are going on, or if you have taken admission to a CBSE school where in South India at least the classes will start, ISC schools, many schools have not started their classes, at least as far as I know. Some of them have, but many of them have not. So if you have taken admission to a coaching center, oblique state board, or a CBSE school, that could present a problem because you will need to factor in the time that you will spend at the coaching center. So what I am going to do, for just to be a little more convenient, I am leaving that 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. slot completely vacant. What you do with this 6 hours is entirely up to you. You want to study for class 10 if you don't have online classes, or if you have online classes and you want to continue with class 11 syllabus, is entirely up to you. I will focus on the remaining 18 hours. Usme se bhi about 8 hours you are kind of going to sleep. Okay, so 10 hours. 10 hours mein se bhi thoda sa masti wasti, dinner, taking bath, everything, baatcheet, games, movies, everything. So I am going to focus only on about 6 to 10 hours, and I'll tell you why I am saying that. Now, what I want you to do is to divide the next 28 days depending on when you start. You may be starting tomorrow, you may be starting 31st of May, it's entirely up to you. But look at it as a 28-day plan. 4 weeks, 7 into 4. Week number 1, you need to devote 6 hours of study time. 6 out of those 10 hours study time to the ICSE class 10 syllabus, the pending examinations. Week 2, ramp it up by 1 hour, make it 7 hours of studying. Week 3, make it 9 hours. Week 4, make it 10 hours. Okay, why I am saying this to ramp it up slowly is with a reason. You see, I've covered a lot of sports in my career as a journalist, and I understand sports, different sports very, very well. They always say that you kind of work towards a peak, and I have said this even in my earlier video lessons in the month of Jan and Feb. You kind of build it up slowly. If you start exercising today, for instance, पहले दिन ही 60 kg, 70 kg weight वगैरह कोई नहीं उठाता है, right? You don't kind of go full throttle on day 1, फिर cramps हो जाएंगे, you will suffer with you will have an injury. So you should always go slow, one step at a time, which is why 6, 7, 9, 10 hours. So that by the time you reach 10 hours and that last few days before your first exam, which is geography, I think on the 2nd of July, if I remember right, you will be hitting peak form. That's how you work yourself to a form. You will kind of get back into the groove. That's what is the idea of this kind of ramped up number of hours. Also, it's like, abhi lockdown period ke dauran, obviously many of us are not driving our vehicles regularly like we would do otherwise. So if you are taking your vehicle out of the garage after a month or 2, its engine is, has not been used, the battery could be down, dhakka lagana pad sakta hai. So always you would go slow on it. Pehle hi, you will not push the accelerator. You will go slow, 20 kilometers per hour speed, 30 kilometers, and slowly let the vehicle get used to driving again or being driven again. Okay, it's a similar process that I'm doing with your studies, with your body, with your mind and your syllabus, right? And I'm assuming that most of you have not touched your books in the last 2 months or so. Okay, now I'm assuming for theory purpose that most of you have 4 subjects left, though I know that some of you have only 3 subjects, 3 papers left. Okay, so again you can tweak it accordingly. Now out of the 6 hours in week 1, ensure that you have a solid 2 hours in the morning. It's summer now, it gets very hot even in the morning, so it's not very difficult to get up early in the morning. So 2 hours in the morning, irrespective of what time you get up. You get up at 5, you ensure that you have a 5:30 to 7:30 2-hour session. If you get up at 6, ensure that you have a 6:15 to 8:15 2-hour session, so that then you can get ready in case if you have online classes from 9 a.m. But ensure that you have early morning time 2-hour session. This is important. If I may say so, I insist. Okay. And during this time is when you should revise either biology or geography. These are the 2 subjects which you should look to this thing, because this is the time when your mind is fresh and you will be able to remember things that much better. In both these subjects also rely a lot on your memory power. So either geography or biology is what you should learn, you should study in that morning session of 2 hours. Okay. Now the remaining 4 hours in week 1, 3 hours in the evening, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. non-stop, uninterrupted, perhaps with a 5-minute break in between. And another session you should do between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. post dinner. Okay, so that will take care of the 6 hours in the first week. Second week you can accordingly increase it by 1 hour in the afternoon session or in the night session. I leave it entirely up to you, which session actually suits you better. In the evening you could focus on Hindi for those who have Hindi as a subject, and a second reading of biology, because the course is very vast, the syllabus is very vast, and I think for biology you have just a day's gap during the date sheet. And 1 hour each, finally the optional subject of either computers or physical education or economics, whatever you have chosen. Now you should divide your syllabus in such a way that by the end of the first week, by the end of the 7 days, you should have covered 40% of the syllabus in each of the papers that you have to appear for. 40%. Okay, don't be over ambitious, right? On day 1, you should kind of set the target that this is the 40% of the syllabus that I would have finished by the end of day 7, and ensure that you manage to do so. Okay. The second week, as I said, you increase it by an hour, and by the end of the second week ensure that you have finished off the remaining 60% also, because by the end of the 7 days you would have got into a bit of the groove, so you will be able to do things faster in week 2, so that by end of week 2, that is the end of the 14th day, you should have finished off the first revision of all the papers, right? Now the third and the fourth week should be devoted to your second revision. Okay. Now again here what you should do is a slightly change of strategy. Don't go for all the 4 subjects in one go. Now it's the time to be more focused study, and you have 1 week in which to do 2 subjects, the 4th week in which to do the 3rd and the 4th subjects, again assuming that you have 4 papers to give. Now I would suggest, my personal opinion would be that in the first week do biology and your optional subject. This 4th week you do, the 3rd week you should do the biology and the optional subject, the 4th week you should do Hindi and geography. Okay, that should be the idea. Now then you will still be left with a few days before your exams actually start. Okay, I mean we are assuming that exams will go on schedule, right? I put that caveat because we never know what things will be like, what the situation will be like in the last week of June. So the last few days you should kind of keep them as a buffer in case you have not been able to finish off something, or if you think something needs a little more attention, right? So you keep that few days buffer, but at least 3 to 4 days, at least 3 days before your first exam, devote all the attention only to geography. I insist, please do that, so that your first exam in your second innings opening partnership should be good. So geography, devote at least the last 3 days, that is the 1st of July, the 30th of June and the 29th of June. entirely to geography. उससे पहले के few days होंगे तो that you can keep as a buffer. My last advice to you is do not let your mind be distracted by the surround sound. As I said right at the beginning, there will be a lot of people saying exams abhi nahi hoga, nahi hoga. See, whether exams happen or not happen, it's not in your hands, it's not in my hands. It's not even in the council's hands. It's in the hands of what happens in the country at that point in time, right? We are in a situation which we never expected. So a lot of things are happening over which we have absolutely no control, right? So don't try to control it. Don't let it control your mind also. Okay. Also, lockdown may be over technically on the 31st of May, though in some cities like Mumbai, Pune, etc., I was told that they would still have areas under a sense of lockdown. There will be specific areas, streets, apartments which will be made a containment zone. My advice to you as an elder, as an educator, as a mentor, most importantly, is to stay insulated as much as possible. You cannot afford a health risk right now. Okay, Corona is not in the past tense, it is very much in the present tense. Okay. Also, my last point, attempt the board papers at the end of week 3 and week 4 of those subjects which you have revised. Attempt the board papers only after you have finished with the full revision of all these subjects, and only then attempt, because then it will give you a sense of confidence. And the last few days, the buffer days that I mentioned, in case if you think some chapter needs a second look or a third look, you can do that after you have attempted the board papers. And I would give you some suggested books in subsequent videos which you can refer to right now in order to make your preparation that much more thorough and complete. Okay, so that will be the timetable that I have given. As I said, there is no one size fits all. Please feel free to make any changes that you may need to, but I do believe this kind of a ramped up kind of a timetable is what will give you the best results. Don't say कि मैं पहले दिन ही 10 घंटे उखाड़ दूंगा. Don't do that, because you will suffer from mental and exam fatigue by the end of it. So let your mind get used to the ICSE class 10 syllabus all over again. Almost look at it like, oh wow, I'm going to discover the syllabus all over again. Okay, and look at it as an opportunity. Keep talking to yourself. It's very important. The problem with us is that we listen to a lot of extraneous sounds most of the time. The best advice that can be given to you is from yourself. Talk to your mind and tell your mind what is in your best interest. Don't listen to some other person who you may not even know, right? And allow that person to influence कि ये करने से तुम्हारा भला हो जाएगा. You know best, and most of us generally know. When someone tries to influence you, you generally have an idea कि ये तुमको तुम्हारे अच्छे के लिए बोल रहा है या बुरे के लिए बोल रहा है या बुरे के लिए बोल रही है, right? You would know. Thank you very much for joining. Do let me know whether this will work for you. Let me know at the end of week 1 how much you have succeeded in doing that. But as I said, your future is in your hands. It's not in my hands. It's not in anyone else's hands, including your parents. So go out and make your future. Thank you very much for watching. All the best to you.